Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you today. I'm here in the capacity of Cattle Council, so more than happy to take any questions about any policies or industry issues that you might have, but I'm here to talk about our pasture-fed cattle assurance system today. A little bit about Cattle Council. We're a producer representative organisation, and what we're about is creating an environment for you guys to make money. So we try and put in place policies and direct industry resources to give you an environment where you can be as profitable as possible. So Cattle Council developed PCAS back in 2013. We have about 260 producers in the program, selling cattle in Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia, and we sell about 62,000 head under that PCAS banner at the moment, through predominantly teas abattoirs, but we do have a few other processors and brand owners using PCAS as well. Essentially, it's an on-farm assurance system that enables producers to make claims about the way in which their cattle have been raised to meet specific market requirements that we've seen developing quite strongly, especially in the US, and I'll talk a little bit about them later on. PCAS has been designed by producers for producers and is run by a small group of producers, which is a side committee of Cattle Council. It's a third-party annually audited program, and so it's the highest level of quality assurance that you'll sort of see in the cattle industry. There are other programs around that have varying levels of certification or verification, and that's we welcome all players in the market, and there are different levels of certification that are required for different market requirements. When we developed this program, we wanted it to be the Rolls-Royce, and we think that over the period of time, PCAS will stand the test of time as consumers become more discerning and start to look for higher integrity in the claims that they receive on products that they buy in the supermarket and through exporters when they buy them internationally. PCAS has a number of elements, some of which are compulsory and others that are voluntary, but essentially you need to have a system that identifies the animals for their entire life. Obviously, NLAS is a very simple way of doing that, but it's not the only system you can use. If you have other on-farm systems you'd prefer to demonstrate that with. They can't be confined for the purposes of intensive feeding. They need to be fed grass and grass only for the life of the animal, so it's a never-ever claim. So that's basically no grain. You must be eligible for MSA. You must be an MSA registered producer to be eligible for the program. No HGPs and no antibiotics. In the interest of time, I'll just talk a little bit about each element, but I won't go into too much detail. As I said, lifetime traceability, most people can do that on their head nowadays, but it's essential to help you make other claims around lifetime, never having eaten grain or lifetime free from antibiotics. Those traceability systems enable you to make assurances to the auditor when they come. The intensive feeding, no confinement for the purpose of intensive feeding. That also enables PCAS to make a free range claim. So it can be used to underpin brands making claims around grass-fed or free range or both. But you still can confine animals for the purposes of husbandry practices and management. So it's about more confining them to feed them. The third element, lifetime pasture fed. Essentially, this program was set up to meet a demand for grass-fed beef in America. So the standard around what is pasture-fed is very much designed to meet the American standards for grass-fed, or the definition for grass-fed. So never can have been eaten grain. There are some products that or supplements that can be used. If you use a supplement that might have grain, there are alternatives that are available, and the PCAS program is happy to help people identify those alternatives if they need them. You can graze crops up to a certain amount of time, but after they sort of basically go to head, then they're not eligible. So that's the never get this term right, but number 69 on the Zodox decimal code for the purposes of the auditor. But essentially, before it goes to head and produces the grain. You can also graze crops after they've been harvested, and so if there's some incidental grain consumption at that point, that is acceptable. MSA, it doesn't mean that the product being sold in the supermarket has been graded MSA. It means that as a producer you're registered with MSA and that your cattle are MSA eligible. Excuse me. So for that purpose, obviously MSA has good handling techniques and good practices that ensure the cattle are going to be eat as well as possible when they reach the market. But it's entirely up to the brand owner and the people buying those cattle as to how they want to present those cattle, whether they grade them or not. And because they might want to do a grass-fed mince, there's no point obviously grading cattle for that. So we're not reaching off farm. We're just these standards are all about on farm practices. No HGPs. This is a voluntary module, but the predominant processor that buys PCAS cattle teas has this as a requirement. Essentially, so it's one of the things you need to take into account when thinking about using a program like this. If you use HGPs, that's a tool you can no longer use. And antibiotics as well. They're permitted for use, but if you treat an animal, that animal has to be taken out of the production system and identified individually and can't be sold as a PCAS animal. So we're not saying don't treat sick animals. And there are some circumstances where anthelmintics can be used to treat parasites and those type of things. So it's important when if you're thinking about using PCAS or a program like this, to give us a call or go on the website and have a look at the detail around what can and can't be used to see if it's going to help you. So what does PCAS cost? It's about $220 to register with the program. That covers the administration. That's an annual fee. If you're registering more than one property identification code, there's an additional $150 fee. And then there's an annual audit. Depending on where you are and how many other people are being audited at the time, it could be anywhere from between $400 to $1,000 for that annual audit. And as the slide says, you can reduce that cost if you get a few people together and get that done at a time, and PCAS administration can help you with that by identifying people in the region that might be able to create a milk run. So it's a business decision for you, it's not free. There are premiums over and above MSA grid prices for PCAS, and each and every one of you need to work out how often you hit the grid for teas or where you're selling, and then whether that premium is going to offset the cost of the program. So this is a tool to help you maximise your premiums should it suit your business model, or should you like to turn your business model to try and access these premiums. Why are there premiums? Well, basically, there's a growing demand out there for more, the consumer's looking for a more natural product, a more a friendly product, that they feel good about consuming, and they're actually willing to pay a premium for that product at the supermarket. And especially in America, there's a really strong growing need and demand for an organic, grass-fed, natural, free-range type offer. Not only for supermarket and high-end cuts, but also for chains like Chipotle and other programs. So in terms of MSA product out there's a lot of grass-fed product that's available for this program, and this program is about trying to maximise the premium we can get for that grass-fed product. So these are just a few we've done some studies through MLA around where the grass-fed market's heading. And these are a few comments that have come back through that study. The majority of consumers today don't think beef is too expensive, so they're willing to pay for it. They're willing to pay for quality. They want flavour, juiciness, tenderness and versatility. So that's why we try and link this to MSA as closely as we can. So $350 million annual market in the US for natural and organic beef products at the moment, and it's predicted to go to $1 billion in the next 5 years. So everything we're hearing from processors and from people in the market up in America is that the opportunity is strong. and growing. And so these programs, I think, will play an important part in the next 5 to 10 years of people's businesses. As I said, it's not just premium cuts. There's also opportunity for manufacturing beef and frozen product, where grass-fed hamburgers and chipotle, which is sort of more of a Mexican-style food, is growing and going to these grass-fed offers and natural, no hormones, no antibiotic sort of offers. So if you're interested in the program, we've got Stand Up Verity. Verity's here. She manages the PCAS program for us. She's doing uni here at the moment as well. So give Verity a call on the office or go on our website and have a look at the program and find out more about it. As I said, you need to make a business decision. It's not for everyone. It's something that you need to think about for your business. If you want to get involved, you can register and get an audit. There's now a certification system set up so that you can start trading with PCAS as soon as you're registering, and then provided you pass a sort of online provisional audit, and then an auditor will come out within sort of the next 3 months or so and audit that provisional certification. But you can start, if you've got cattle to sell now, you can start accessing that premium straight away. So I don't know if I've gone too quickly, but happy to take questions or